Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us. We have a special show with Dr. Segun and Tosin Lejofi. Tosin is a nurse who trained in San Jose, who trained in California, worked in Georgia, and has been working in Mississippi for the last couple of years. She's happily married to Segun Lejofi, who is a family medicine physician. He went to university in Connecticut and then offshore for medical school, came to University of Mississippi Medical Center for his residency in family medicine, and finished off just recently a one-year interventional pain fellowship. They have two lovely kids, a boy and a girl, and they're making their home in the future in Atlanta. Tosin is pursuing a medical school degree. She's been accepted to medical school and she's about to start. And I wanted to share their story of love, of passion, of desire, of faithfulness, of fidelity, of hope, of promise, of aspiration, of not giving up on their dreams. You will be blessed with their story. God bless you. Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us. Don't touch that dial. We have a phenomenal program with Dr. and Mrs. Lejofi. They came all the way from Rankin County, Mississippi, to share their testimony of God's faithfulness, fortune, and fidelity with them. These are a couple who emigrated in their teenage years from Nigeria and have become epitomes of humility and heroism in the United States today as medical personnel. Lejofi works with me, Dr. Segun Lejofi works with me in the family medicine department, and he's also gone ahead to do an interventional pain fellowship at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. He's going forward to start a practice in Atlanta with a pain group. And his wife, Tosin, is now pursuing her dream of becoming a physician. And she's been accepted to a medical school, and she's finished nursing, and she's worked in nursing at the highest level. And we're so delighted to have them on the show. They are an epitome of humility, of heroism, and making a difference where others have not been able to make a difference. Thank you for joining us. We're really delighted to have both of you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you did all this with children. That's a miracle. I mean, you had a child a few years ago, maybe a year and a half. I mean, that's a blessing. I mean, how did you handle the mother, the medicine, the wife, all those roles? How did you juggle all those things together?
Support.
Okay.
You know, if you have, Segun is very supportive.
Okay.
And in addition, you know, I married into a really supportive family. So, and that is a blessing in itself because no matter what my dreams are, you have to have support from the people who are going to be seeing you through while you know, achieve your dream. So whatever it is that Segun and I want to achieve, they're like our cheerleaders. And whatever it is that, you know, that we need from them while we're trying to achieve these dreams, they're there for us. So for me, going back to get my post back, Segun was still working in his fellowship, and I had to go to Georgia for my post back, and I was living with my in-laws, and they took care of everything while I was there just to make sure I could focus on school. You know, and with my admission and me going to school, they are the people that we lean on to be able to see us through. So definitely support and just prayers from the people that are supporting you.
Wow. You guys have been married 6 years and you talk like you've been married 25. I mean, you guys literally connected with your families. Now, Tosin, you have a story that nobody has been aware of, I know, but I just don't know what you want to say about it. Your own parents, I mean, we don't talk about it, but both of us know that your parents passed away, right?
Right.
How has that affected you? How did you, I mean, that took a lot of emotional support to get
Yeah.
over that. So, and I know I'm saying this because there are people who have lost parents and it's become, you know, a statement in their lives that they may not have recovered from. So I just wanted to get your perspective on loss, bereavement, and how you handled it.
I lost both of my parents in like a 5-year span. I think from when I was 15 and then when I was 19, 20. And definitely it just changes your perspective. It changes your personality, right? I have a sibling and our personalities are completely different from before. But you have to kind of hone in into what you want your life to be about. Because there are many people who go through things and, you know, that becomes that's a cloud that follows them for the rest of their life. Life continues to go so far as you're living, you have, you know, breath, you should have a drive to be who you want to be. For me, from when I was younger, I knew where I wanted to be. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I knew that it was going to be much more difficult with the challenges that were in my way, but I just knew God would send me helpers, right? And also I tried to help myself. There were many resources that I did not know about that I started to seek. You know, there was a lot of strength that I didn't know that I had that I found because I didn't have any choice but to find it. So that and support kind of led me to where I am and, you know, kind of leaning on to that support and realizing that even though you don't have anybody, some people can be not family, like they don't have to be your family to be for you 100%. And believing that and leaning into that.
And you make a big point about your in-laws not being outlaws because unfortunately many people take their in-laws as outlaws and they put a wall and not build a bridge. So when you talk about staying with your in-laws, moving in with them, getting support from them, I think that's a statement to our generation. Because if you go back, Dr. Shegun, to many family issues, it goes back to mother-in-law, daughter-in-law getting into each other's way, conflicts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no perfect home, obviously,
Right.
but you have to be able to manage that union together. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things is we have to be able to, like, you know, put our pride aside, our egos aside. And, you know, if someone is coming from a good place, they're looking out for your best interest, just as your parents would. They may not go about it the right way, or at least what you consider to be the right way, but you have to, like, you know, keep an open mind, knowing, like, you know, where they're coming from and meet them from that standpoint, not from, like, the oppositional standpoint. And once everybody understands, like, the common goal, and you understand that things are being done out of love, then everything else is not a problem. Yeah.
So it's a huge challenge in our generation, 80% divorce rates, and I want all of you listening to see how, it's only 6 years, but they've learned how to make it work, you know. Tosin could have gone and stayed in an Airbnb, and, you know, but she said, let's save a little money, stay with my parents-in-law. I mean, and the baby was there too, so somebody can watch the baby. You don't have to do daycare.
Right.
These are little things that help financially.
Yeah.
You know, if the parents-in-law are willing to help, you know, you know.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, pride gets in the way.
Right.
A lot of people want to just say, it's my way or the highway. No, I think we should listen,
Yeah.
and if it's coming from a place of love, give an opportunity to see what they're saying. So, talk to me about your plans after medical school, your plans after residency. You just finished an interventional pain fellowship at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Tell me a bit about what your plans are going forward. That's for you, Shegun, and then obviously Tosi, I want to hear what your plans are too for the next few years.
All right. So I finished fellowship at the end of December. I had signed with a practice in Georgia maybe in August or thereabout. I actually started there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I am, currently integrated into the system, getting to like, know the culture. Um, so far, it's a lovely place to work, and I'm just looking forward to like, just growing professionally, um, and seeing where.
So what's going to happen to those 3 years of family medicine you did? That you sweated and slaved and toiled for?
Knowledge is never like lost. It gives you a different perspective to your other colleagues, and even in fellowship sometimes like they will lean on me or ask me questions from a family medicine perspective. So that is always there. In family medicine, you see all sorts of people, so including people with pain and that have other comorbidities. So I think it gives me a different perspective, and it just enhances your practice, if anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And Tosin, what's your next steps going forward in the next few years?
Being a student.
Okay.
And then just, throwing away whatever it is that I had professionally, just making sure that I fit the role of a student. It's difficult to have a profession, be a professional and be at a certain height in your profession, and then going to be at the bottom of the totem pole, so definitely I'm setting my mind up to be ready for that, because this is a dream, and I'm not going to let pride get into the way of my dream, right? So that's kind of where I am. I don't know what I want to do yet, but I definitely have good support to to lean on along the way, but I'm just looking forward to learning all the things that I've been hoping and praying to learn, the enlightenment that I was missing as a nurse. I'm just going to I'm going to take advantage of all of it and just enjoy the process.
Awesome. And that's a great learning, because all the background you've had is going to come into play. The leadership, the financial, the clinical. You're going to merge all that with the high-level knowledge you're going to get as a physician. So it's going to be awesome. And like you said, stay humble. Don't tell the physician what you did 10, 20 years ago. Medicine moves at the speed of light. So yeah, just say, yes, I can see why you're going in that direction. And I support you. So talk to me about how both of you handled work-life balance with all the training and exams, and you were working as a director, you were working as a resident fellow. So how did you have time for the children? How did you have time for each other? Was it difficult? I mean, finances, all those little things that come up while you're in residency.
There were points where it was a little challenging. When you're in training, you really don't have control over your schedule. So it was a little challenging, especially the inpatient months where you're like gone 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. You just write that month off as, okay, that is just what it is. You come back home, you help out as much as you can, get a good sleep, and then do it again. But when you're on rotations where you're not as busy, just try as much as possible to contribute. So yeah, those times.
But I noticed that Tosin used to drop you off at work at times.
Yeah.
When you worked in the clinic.
Yeah. Well, we had one car at one point.
Yes.
Like something happened.
Were you trying to save money or what?
Oh, no. It wasn't a car problem. We
No,
were
we were
both
both
at
going to work.
UMC at that point in
Yes.
time.
You can buy a car.
No, we both were at UMC at that
We
point in
love
time.
our
So,
kind
so we decided to just carpool.
But that's a good lesson, because
Yeah.
there's no need being extravagant.
No.
You heard of this thing called doctitis. When you become a doctor,
Uh-huh.
you splurge. You
Yeah.
just buy the 100,000 square feet house with all the
All the
cars
amenities
and
and,
alloy
fancy
wheels, and then
things.
before you know it,
Yeah.
you're back in debt.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even in residency, you kept a tab on your expenses.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. We didn't. We have two functional cars. One is a little newer. One is very old. We didn't feel the need to be in a rush to change it. We still haven't changed it. Yeah. Some point soon.
I mean, it's a good lesson for
Yeah.
us. There's no need to just splurge if you don't need to.
Yeah.
Do what you need to, but don't unnecessarily throw money around because you can, you know. And just to let everybody know, Tregun was the first person in our department in family medicine to go into interventional pain fellowship. So he was a pace setter, a trailblazer,
Yes.
cutting edge, you know, and now people are lining up behind him because he made the path. So that's what it means to have a dream. Dreamers don't quit dreaming. I mean, when he told me the first time that he wanted to do pain fellowship, I was like, how do you hope to achieve that? I mean, it's never been done. It's not the common trend for a family medicine resident. It's just an unusual pathway. In fact, one of our residents applied for a position that was open in Texas, I believe, in Houston.
Okay.
They didn't match. And they replied him and said, sorry, we don't take family medicine resident. They had a spot.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I mean, this program, they started without a fellow. They couldn't fill the spot. But this, my resident said, if I apply, can I fill that spot? And his reply was, we don't take family medicine residents as fellows. So what he did was groundbreaking to me, at least. And I think it's a lesson for us. All the way from Nigeria, Connecticut, kept his dream alive and didn't stop dreaming until he saw the accomplishment of his dream. So we give God the glory for that. Now, when you were you told me a story about how you were working in a facility for young children and suddenly had this light bulb moment that challenged you. Tell us a bit about that. Yeah.
So it was supposed to be a conflict, really. So I'm gonna go through the story really quickly. So I was working with two colleagues, and they were talking. I was not part of the conversation, and the point of discussion was the lady was telling the young man to go back to school. All right. So she turns to me and says, "Hey, don't you think it's a good idea?" And I say, "Yeah," and I just went about my business. The male coworker who she was talking to was offended by that, and spoke to a lot of people, threatening to get me fired, and
Because you said it was a good idea.
because I said it was a good idea to go back to school. So word got back to me, and I just sat there that evening, and I was like, okay. I was not upset, and I just said, what exactly am I trying to do with my life? Like, I had plans to go to medical school. When am I going to make that happen? I applied 2 years before then. I didn't get in. I took a year off. I really didn't apply. And I had talked to someone about going to the Caribbean at that point in time, but I was not going to do anything about it. That night I decided I was going to. And I applied, and within the next 3 weeks to a month, I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to go to the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
And 3 months later, I was at the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So that
I was in
conversation
the medical school.
spurred,
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah, it just gave me clarity that I was not doing what I wanted to do. And it was like a call to action for me to get off my behind.
It wasn't
get off my
just
behind.
ambition or another degree to your name. It wasn't just that, Nigerians like to study.
Right.
This was more of, I feel
Yeah.
this is where I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
and I'm not there.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so many people are at
Yeah.
that spot in life, and they don't go forward because they feel it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Some people say it's too expensive, it's too long, it's too painful, it's too tedious, it's too, it's going to take too much from me. So what do you say, both of you, I'm going to ask both of you, what do you say to that young guy who's working 8 to 5 in a job he doesn't want to work at, but he doesn't want to go to college because it's too expensive, it's too long, it takes too much debt, he goes into debt, he feels it's going to tie him down, or a young lady who says, I can't get married, I can't get a child, I'm not going to do what I want to do because of college. These are real discussions my viewers are having every day. What would you say to that person about what they're saying?
The
Is
first
it worth
thing-
going
It is
pursuing.
absolutely worth like pursuing your dreams.
You spent 8 years,
Yes.
medical school plus residency,
Yes.
9 probably with fellows maybe.
Yeah.
So
8
it was
years.
worth it. It was.
Absolutely.
So your salary has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to paint a picture. It's 8 years, but at the end of 8 years,
Yeah.
is it worth it? That's what we're
Absolutely.
trying to compare.
Absolutely. You get rewarded really well financially. That's number one. Going back to like making that decision to pursue your dreams. Just don't get comfortable in whatever situation you're in, either good or bad. We're very like conditioned to like just get comfortable in it. Don't get comfortable. If you have a dream, you there has to be a point in time where you like sit back and figure out how you want to get it done, and like when to like make moves. And for me, it took that happening for me to say, you know what, like I'm not doing what I want to do. Let's like let's do something about it. So just don't get too comfortable. It is gonna be difficult to do it. Nothing good comes easy. Um, get it done. Just get up and get it done.
Do it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it has nothing to do with like how smart you are.
Right.
It is to do with like how hard you're willing to work to get there.
Well, a lot of people don't believe that it's hard work. They think it's just because they see all these movie stars, basketball stars, but they don't. Obviously, behind all those movie stars, basketball stars,
Yep.
golfers, is a lot of
There's a
hard
lot of
work.
hard work
So
that
there's
you don't
nothing
see.
in life that is just.
It doesn't come easy.
They say success is 99% sweat and then
Uh-huh.
1% gifting.
Yeah, well, 1% gift, 1% luck, whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of hard work
Yeah.
that comes before it.
Behind all that,
Yep.
wow, wow. And what do you think about the young girl who says, I want to delay college because I want to get married, I want to have a child, I want to, if I go to college, by the time I come out, nobody will want to marry me, I'll be too old to have a baby, I'll be not my good-looking, nice-looking mother, you know what I mean. So what do you think about that young girl who's worried about all that?
I'll tell her to do it anyway, because your life is always going to become more complicated. And if you have a dream and you know that's what you want to do, because some people, where I am right now, prior to going to medical school, that's a dream for them. Whatever your dream is, just achieve that. What is your dream worth? You determine that to yourself. So if it's worth the 8 years, you do the 8 years. The person that is going to be for you might be there. You're not going to know where your spouse is going to be. You cannot plan and cherry pick what your destiny is going to be and how it's going to go. You have to leave some things to fate, leave some things to God, and then just do what is in your ability, what you can control, right? So definitely go to school, especially women, because the earlier you start your dream, one thing my husband says is you're already on the path, you're on the conveyor belt. Nobody can tell you stop because you had a baby. If you're in medical school, you have the baby, but you're already in medical school.
Yeah.
Imagine if you weren't, and they'll be like, will it be worth it for you to apply? Then you have a decision to make. Make it so that you don't need to have a decision to make. You're already achieving your dreams, and life will happen in the process.
And we have friends who got pregnant in medical school.
Twice.
Like, yeah,
And
it's
they
not.
continue-
Yeah,
it's not
it doesn't stop you.
Doesn't
You
stop.
continue. Of course, like it gets more difficult, but that's just life.
And the medical schools, once you're in, you're part of their family. They make it so
Yeah.
that you finish. So they support you. Many medical schools are very supportive, but you have to be in first. If you have
Right.
all these issues and you're applying, then it's like, oh, I'm not going to put these issues on board. But if you're already part of the community, they're more likely to support you through the process.
How about student loans in debt? People talk about medical school debt, 250,000. I mean, some people are like, I don't want to get in debt. I'm just happy to earn 50,000 and stay in my corner.
If you just look at the risk and reward, or time spent versus income at the end when you're done, depending on what you were doing before, it is absolutely worth it. Student loans, yes, you do accumulate a good amount of it, but when you're done, you can work for organizations that pay off your student loan,
Right.
depending on your specialty, or you can pay them off yourself when you're done. You earn enough money to be able to, for you to pay it off.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's a crutch that people usually have because even if you're a numbers person, the student loans can be, let's say, the most $500,000. You're working for 5 years as a physician, you will make at least $250,000 a year at the very least. You're going to be able to pay your student loans off, even if you have no support. But there are scholarships. You need to be resourceful while you're in medical school. There are many scholarships. There are many people that want to pay for people who are women, people who are of any kind of diversity or have any adversity. There are definitely people who are willing to support your medical education. So having I don't want to say it's an excuse. Some people have genuine reasons, life, situations where they cannot go to medical school. But if it's just the money, look into other things and just achieve your dreams because you don't want to regret at the end of the day.
And there are things like rural scholars where
Right.
like, they pay for your
People who
medical school and you have to like, work in a community of need for like, what, 3 years?
3 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's it.
So
So
we do
you-
that in Mississippi.
Yeah.
A lot of states have that.
Yeah.
And they'll pay off your student loan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 So there are other avenues to like, to get that paid for.
Yeah. And I know people who have gone on to do neurosurgery and their undergrad was paid for by a scholarship. Their medical school was paid for by a scholarship, but they're now neurosurgery. And like you said, the neurosurgeon is going to earn $500,000 easily a year. So at the end of the day, he can afford to pay off that student loan if he chooses to.
Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting because we live in a generation where people want more, but are they willing to give more to
Right.
get more?
Right.
You know, so the question is, it's a give and take. It's a push and pull. You're not going to earn what you don't put into. You know,
Yeah.
there's no free lunch even in Freetown, like they say. You know, you've been brought up with this mentality that there's free lunches everywhere. That's
No.
not true. You will get a free burger somewhere, but not a free lunch. They'll give you a handout, but it's not going to be a hand up.
Yeah.
That handout is not going to take you through your life. You know, you need the benefit of medicine careers, not just vocations or side jobs. Is you can plan your path of progress on that journey. You know, you're saving for the future. You're growing on the job. You're contributing to society. It's not just a job you do and then you move on to the next job, you know. And at the same time, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So nobody is saying you've accomplished everything, but where you are, just start where you are, one course at a time, and then one certificate at a time, one GED at a time, and tomorrow you'll achieve that dream, you know. I think that I read the story of a man who was 86 and went to college and got a degree somewhere in Nigeria. So don't stop dreaming. We'll see you back next week. Don't forget, Jesus is Lord. God bless you.